Hello. Well, welcome to Coxnotes. Um, my effort to pass along some memories, maybe stir some memories, maybe create some memories uh, that help me out and maybe you can find entertaining at the same time. I'm Bob Cox. I did Coxnotes for a number of years as a written blog of sorts, and recently got into this video game in the YouTube world, and I'm enjoying it. I hope you enjoy it. I've got a background in law enforcement, in newspaper editing and publishing, some radio talk show experience. I consider myself an avid hunter, outdoorsman of sorts. I'm getting a little bit chunky for that. As it turns out, you have a little bit much there. But and wrote a book a couple of years ago about fishing that I really enjoyed doing that. And this is just a new thing. And last time we met, I talked about getting youth involved in the shooting sports. And once we get them to where they're comfortable with firearms and where they're safe with firearms and they understand the responsibility of firearms and getting them into the hunting world and maybe the shooting sports world, uh, it's an important thing to take the steps necessary to do that and develop uh, the young person into something that we can be proud of and that they can move ahead with having a respect for firearms, a respect for the law, and kind of develop into good hunters, to good outdoors people, to in the shooting sports, and not misuse firearms. I always say, that it's the misuse of the firearms that always gives us a bad name. When last we met, I had a few comments about the appearance of my shiny bald head. So from now on, we'll try to cover it with a hat and keep too much reflection off your screen. I want to get into a little bit of how I developed and why I enjoy going out and shooting and sometimes I just take a 22 rifle. Even at my age, I'll take a 22 rifle and just go out and plink, and I enjoy that as much as anything. And I think the 22, regardless of all this other stuff that comes up, all the fancy AR rifles and all the semi-auto handguns and stuff that we talk about all the time, I think that the 22 rifle still and always will be the place to start. And so today I want to talk about my first 22 rifle and what it meant to me on a much deeper scale and still means to me as I sit back and contemplate my life, so to speak. This is a little Springfield 22. It was given to my dad when he was 14 years old by his dad, and which would have been in about 1938. And it was his first rifle, and he took very good care of it. When I first used it, it certainly showed some wear. And to just tell you how things have changed a little bit over the years, when I was about 15 years old, I took this gun to school with me and took it into the school shop, and with the help of my shop teacher, I sanded the stock down and refinished the stock and even reblued the barrel in the shop class. Uh, Somehow I just don't see that happening in today's world. This is a real basic single shot 22. and it's in this case, it's got my dad took a wood burning tool and wood burn his initials on the stock. It's also got his social security number stamped in the butt. I won't show that. Dad died back in 2005, but he turned this gun over to me long before that, and I can't, I can't even fathom how many rounds of 22 ammunition has gone through this little rifle. I had 3 boys. They all 3 learned how to shoot with this rifle. I encourage the use of a single shot rifle as the first rifle. It's easy to teach with. It's easy to be safe with. In this one, it doesn't cock until you manually pull the cocking mechanism back. The later models have a little bit bigger bulb right here, so it was a little easier to get a hold of. So there's a many things that I just, the memories just keep flowing when I pick up this rifle. I can still see my dad giving me this 22 when he'd be out deer hunting, and he'd say, "Well, you want to take 22 with you today?" And I'd say, "Oh yeah, yeah." And, well, maybe you can get a rabbit or something. I shot grouse with this. I shot rabbits with it. I've shot a lot of rabbits with it. But more than anything, I've shot a lot of nothing with it. I've shot a lot of tin cans. One of our favorite little things years ago was to hang pieces of candy on the end of monofilament line and hang them from bushes and stuff and shoot them. And, the peppermint candy is about this big around, and the Necco wafers, they called, there was another one. We'd stick them to line, hang them up on the trees, and then shoot at them, and they just burst when you hit them. My dad always stressed safety. When I took my first hunter safety class way back as a friend of mine says, back in the middle of the last century, the early 60s, I used this rifle on the range, shot my required number of rounds and then some. We had a very nice guy that was our instructor, and he had access to quite a bit of ammunition, evidently, because he let us shoot quite a bit. That encouraged me to later become a hunter education instructor. I taught the Colorado Hunter Education curricula for 40 years, and trained a lot of, I introduced a lot of young people to the fun of shooting. So I wanted to stress something else here. We're talking, this gun is coming up on 80 years old since it was given to my dad. It still shoots as good today as it did when he got it, I think. It's still got a good barrel in it. It was a well-built rifle. And these things will last for generations. This one will go on down to at least 2 more generations, I hope. And I hope that it'll be enjoyed at that time too. It's one of those things I have a hard time just giving up. So it'll stay with me for quite a while, and I'll take it out every now and then and shoot it and have a good time with it. So pick up your little 22, grab a box of ammo, and go out and plink a little. Plinking is just, when I first started using this rifle, a box of 22 ammunition cost about 35 cents. Which, it's all relative, but a lot different than it is today. And sometimes we feel like it's a waste, but it's not. Take a young person out, introduce them to shooting a little 22 rifle, and make it fun. Shoot at some active targets. Uh, Stress the need of good backstop, good range rules, good safety, and good fun. So that's Cox Notes for this one, and we will be back, guaranteed. Talk to you later.